What mathematician captures my interest? It's a question that has haunted me since I saw the assignment posted on Brightspace. Can I even name any mathematicians? Well, there's the Count from Sesame Street, certainly an inspiring character, and he's a vampire. But no, I needed someone real, but I was drawing a blank, until one day I was sitting under the tree doing my homework, when suddenly an apple fell from the tree and hit me on the head. "Billy," I said to myself, "you've had the answer all along. You own an Apple iPhone. With it, you can Google mathematicians and try to find one that's interesting." Spoiler alert, I did not choose someone obscure. I chose a very obvious person. The man I chose is Sir Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton was an only son. His father died 3 months before he was born. Newton was a frail baby, and he wasn't expected to live very long, not even a day. At the age of 2, his mother remarried a man named Barnabas Smith. Isaac was sent to live with his grandmother for 9 years. During this time, he begins to develop psychotic tendencies, which come to a head when he moves back in with his mother and stepfather. He felt a deep hatred of them both, but especially his stepfather, even threatening to set the house on fire and burn them to death. Newton felt very isolated. He was anxious all the time, and sometimes he would turn violent. When his stepfather died, Isaac Newton's mother asked if he would look after the property, but he just couldn't do it. Newton liked to read and study, and he was gifted. In 1661, Newton went to Cambridge. It was here that Newton became fascinated with Aristotle and Descartes, and he began making notes in a book he called Certain Philosophical Questions. He created calculus and the binomial theorem, and it feels like from here on out, it's going to be happily ever after. But then Cambridge closes due to the plague, and Newton returns home, and he returns to isolation. But in spite of all of this, he accomplishes some incredible things, mostly all during the time of the plague. Newton is mostly known for his 3 laws of motion, the law of universal gravitation, and his co-creation of calculus. Newton also wrote a book called Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, which is still held in high regard to this day. So let's break down the 3 laws of motion. The first law, inertia. I think the best way to do this is to give examples. So, inertia. Let's say you're driving and you just got your Starbucks, you're driving to work, your car, you and your coffee are all moving the same speed. You go to take a sip of your coffee, and then oops, you spill some on your clothes. And then you look down at your shirt, taking your eyes off the road, and when you look back up, it's a red light, so you slam on the brakes. You and your coffee continue moving forward as your car comes to a screeching halt. The second law, force. So my 4-year-old niece wants me to push her on a tricycle. Easy. Then my 54-year-old uncle wants to go next. Not so easy. The third law, action and reaction. When I was 19, I went to these cliffs over the lake, and everyone was jumping off into the water. And I wanted to fit in, so I decided to jump in. But when I did, I fell at a weird angle, and when I hit the water hit back and knocked all the air out of me, and I nearly drowned. Action and reaction. One object exerts a force on another object. The second object exerts an equal and opposite on the first. The law of universal gravitation. Newton's law of universal gravitation is just that. It's that gravity is universal. All objects have a gravitational attraction, and the force depends upon the product of those masses. Calculus. Newton and this guy Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, I believe is how you say it, created calculus, which is a branch of mathematics that studies continuous change. There's something romantic about the tortured genius. Van Gogh, H.P. Lovecraft, Kurt Cobain. You read about Newton's early life, and it sounds like the recipe for a disaster. I think what interests me about Newton is the isolation, the anxiety. I get that. Unfortunately, Newton had an obsession that ultimately led to his death, possibly. While Newton made many contributions to math and science, he was also interested in alchemy and spent many years attempting to create the Philosopher's Stone. What exactly is the Philosopher's Stone? Well, it's something with magical properties, like it can turn metal into gold, or if you've read Harry Potter, then you know that the Philosopher's Stone grants the wielder immortality. So it's likely he was seeking immortality. Newton died of mercury poisoning, and it's likely from one of his many experiments in trying to make the Philosopher's Stone. It's interesting to look back and see what things were considered fact and what things that today we consider fiction were looked at with possibility. Newton inspired many mathematicians and scientists. He's responsible for the modern telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope would not exist had it not been for Newton. We wouldn't have rockets. We never would have landed on the moon.
I don't think we went to the moon.
He never discovered the key to immortality. Newton lived to be 84. Not too bad, especially considering he wasn't expected to live a single day.